All right, so it looks like we are live a couple of minutes early, which is okay. I'll wait for some people to filter in. Um, and let's see. So it has been shared on Google. I believe the comment section is now open, and there is a chat on the right-hand side of the video. So I decided to use two screens today, so one to record and one to kind of keep track of the chat, because I had no idea there was a chat on the YouTube side. So there is a lag. I believe it's only about a minute or so. So you might get a slightly different look. All right, so it looks like we are live. There we go. One moment. Let me close out of the other screen that I'm in somewhere. There we go. Okay. Now you won't hear a weird echo about a minute lag. So welcome to the Fibercast. This is episode number 5. Today is Friday, February 20th, or February 20th. And here we are. Welcome to the Fibercast. Grab your knitting, grab your crochet, grab whatever beverage you're drinking. I'm drinking coffee out of a teapot. It's a little strange, I know. So yeah, welcome. You can find me, Benjamin Krudwig, pretty much everywhere on the interwebs. So you can find me very active on Instagram under Benjamin Krudwig. You can find me on Facebook and Twitter, and you can find me on Ravelry as Benjamin Krudwig, and you can find me on the website, www.benjaminkrudwig.com. So yeah, how is everybody? I am doing well. Last week, I'm sorry I didn't podcast. I woke up Friday morning with a fever, and my wife, who is watching, by the way, if you see in the YouTube chat, she's Ariana Gibbard. So you can find her there, and you know, say hello to her, and maybe she'll interact a little bit today. I know she may or may not be at work. That's okay. So yeah, I'm sorry for not podcasting last week, but being sick is not great. However, Ariana was able to jump in on the Facebook page and let everybody know. So she was a real sweetheart about that. So I was going to talk about this a little bit later, but I might as well talk about it now. So Ariana will actually be taking over a lot of the business administrative stuff of Benjamin Krudwig Fiber Arts and Designs. I want to primarily focus on the creative portion of the company, so writing patterns and creating new things, and really building the relationships with everybody. And she'll be handling a lot more of the detail-oriented things. She'll be posting in the shop. She'll be helping me, she'll be helping me post on Facebook. And once I get her set up with everything else, she'll be able to do everything else. So yeah, so say hello to her. She is wonderful, best wife that you can really ask for. That she's not like terribly excited about the fiber arts like I am, but she's at least, you know, she's very passionate about our business and our company. So it's great. It allows me to do some things. It allows me to focus more time on the pattern writing and the book writing and all of that going on. So I couldn't do it without her. So yeah, say hi to her. I see Tabitha is here. Hi, Tabitha. I'm glad that you were able to make it to this episode of the podcast. Thank you for purchasing the Tectonic Cowl. I'm so glad. It's a fun crochet. So good luck with that. If you need any help, you know where to find me. And let me know what you're doing, what colors you're choosing, what yarn you're choosing. I'm excited to see. I actually wrote show notes before the podcast today, so let's see how this goes. It's weird to do a live show with a structure, but we're gonna do it. So, as you all should know, I work for Shack Spindle Company, the loom and spinning wheel builder here in Boulder, Colorado. And so I've been working a lot there. A lot of things are happening over there. So if you want to check out the blog and the website over there, shackspindle.com and blog.shackspindle.com, then you can find out what we're doing over there. I run their social media program. I also do customer service. So that's all over there. If you want to check that all out. I started some management training. I think it was 3 weeks ago now. Sorry, you're gonna see the closet door open and shut, and it's because our cat is climbing in and out of the closet because she knows that I'm recording. So anyways, yeah, I started management training 3 weeks ago, and it's been a lot of fun. We're doing some personality exam or personality test stuff and learning how we should interact with each other. So that's pretty cool. I'm really interested in it. So it's, you know, a little hard to really take a hard look at yourself and see what you're doing well, what you're doing wrong, I should put in quotes, areas in which you can improve. I should preface before I go too much further, anybody who's watching now, I will be answering questions at the end of the podcast. So usually I do it just whenever a question pops up on my screen or on my Instagram. I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to answer all questions at the end of the podcast. So if you have asked a question, stick around till the end, and then I will go through them. I'm slightly out of order, but so today I am going to be ending right at 4 o'clock. Usually I leak over into the 4 o'clock hour, but Ariana and I are looking at houses tonight. So we got approved or pre-approved for a home loan, and we're going to be house shopping. It'll be our first house. Right now we're in an apartment, 2-bedroom apartment in Boulder. So we are going to move into a real house, and it's so exciting. So we have to leave. I need to end my podcast at 4, go get some stuff done, go pick her up, and then head straight to the first house. So we're meeting our realtor there, and it's super exciting. So hopefully we can find something that we like. We're pretty flexible. We're not on a huge timeline. I know that, oh my gosh, what is her name? Yarngasm podcast. She and her husband are moving or have just moved. I haven't watched your most recent podcast, but it's on my queue list on YouTube. So yeah, I hope their house hunting is going well. I think she had a house under contract at the end of her last podcast. So I'm excited for her. I'm excited for us. Super, super excited for us. So yeah, it's been 2 weeks since I've spoken to you all, so I feel like there's a lot to tell you. Last weekend was Valentine's Day weekend, and that was a lot of fun. Ariana and I went to a great dinner. It was mostly great. The wine was really great. Most of the food was pretty good. Some of it was just a little, not as good as it could have been, in my opinion, and she could totally back me up on the comments or in the chat. So yeah, she had some oysters that no words really are necessary. So yeah, that's what we did last weekend for Valentine's Day. And then Sunday of last weekend, we went to go see Tosca. Oh, it's so good. It's an opera by Puccini. And we went to a semi-staged version of it at the Colorado Symphony Orchestra down in Denver. And it was so good. It was just such a fantastic story. I had never seen it before. I knew some of the music, like maybe the very first aria I actually knew about, and then the rest of it it was completely new to me, which is not normal. um, Ariana, being an opera singer, listens to a lot of opera, so you would have thought that I would have heard this by now, but I hadn't heard any Tosca before, so it was really exciting to watch something so old, but it was so new to me. It was fantastic. So that was last weekend. The weekend before last, so you would have heard about this in the last podcast, but I wasn't here. We went to the Metropolitan Opera Rocky Mountain Regional Auditions. So it's a competition every year where they audition people, I think is between the age of 18 and 30. I don't know. Ariana could also probably correct me if I'm wrong. So different regions around the country, they all audition, and then about one person, usually per region, moves on to the semifinals and then the finals. It was so cool to watch about, I think, 15 singers get up and perform some arias, and it was so tense, and I'm so glad that there is nothing like that in the fiber arts world because I can't handle that kind of stress. I have terrible stage fright and I get so nervous. I used to be a musician, as far as like I used to do orchestra and I used to sing, but in the competition that I went to, like all of my dynamics, all of my technique just went out the window. Absolutely just went out the window if I got up to perform. So I just cannot do that. So that was fun. Hi. The cat is acting out. Oh, yeah, so the age was 20 to 30. Thank you, Ariana. And her name has changed to Ariana Krudwig all of a sudden. You can see the cat behind me. She's, being a stinker. Oh, well. So, great news this week. So I am not attending Stitches West, which I am totally bummed about, but I have a cat. So this whole thing about Stitches West, so I really want to go to Stitches West next year. This year I just couldn't get the time off and I wasn't really prepared to go. I just need to be aware of when it's happening next year and get some tickets to go out and go. However, so if you're there, granted, if you're there, you're probably not watching this podcast because you are so busy, or you're shopping or something. So yeah, my patterns, the tectonic hat, the knit hat, and the glaucous shawl, those are at the Anzula booth. So Anzula Luxury Fibers, and the cat is, okay. Anzula Luxury Fibers is a great yarn producer. They also hand dye fiber. Sabrina is the owner, and then I think it's Charlie and Logan and Ray and a whole bunch of other employees. They're all fantastic people. Anyway, so I have designed a few patterns using their yarn, and I am continuing to design patterns using their yarn because I love their yarn so much. So the two patterns that are out there, one's knit, one's crocheted. I used their yarn Dreamy, and it's a silk cashmere. I don't think it's cashmere. Maybe it is. Silk cashmere merino blend. And it was so soft, so super soft. So there's the hat pattern, the tectonic knit hat. There's a crochet pattern and a knit pattern. And then they have the knit sample. And then the glaucous shawl, which is a crocheted shawl, that's over there. So if you're out at Stitches West, you should go check those out and give some love to Anzula. They have a ton of great fiber, which you will see a bunch of in stash enhancement. So just you wait. Just you wait. Something else that's been kind of going on this week. So I've been watching a YouTube series. Oh, it's a series. I don't know if it was YouTube before, but it's on YouTube now. And it's called Mastercrafts. And it's a 6-part series on different Mastercrafts that the Brits have in their heritage, like quite a bit. And I mean, obviously, so does America, but there's weaving and stained glass, masonry, green woodwork, and thatching, and all sorts of things. And each episode is about one of those crafts. So I've watched weaving, and I've watched the green woodwork. And they're about an hour long, and 3 students, like completely brand new students, have about 6 weeks to learn this craft and make something at the end of that 6 weeks. So I would highly recommend going to watch those if you're interested at all in that sort of thing. So that's something I've been doing. Before I go into the rest of this, on our action items for our business, I want to know if people would subscribe to about a monthly or quarterly newsletter from benjaminkrudwig.com. And if so, please let me know, either in the comments of this video, or you can Instagram me, or you can contact me somehow. And really just let me know if you want to subscribe to a newsletter. And what I want to do with this newsletter is have tips and tricks, new pattern alerts, just the sort of thing, like keeping up with the company in a more structured format, and maybe a little bit more professional looking than my day-to-day Instagram messages. So let me know if you want a newsletter. So let's move on to knitting and crocheting and whatever I'm working on. So at the time that I wrote the finished objects note on my show notes, I had a finished object. Now I have an unfinished object. I did some negative crocheting. So on my list of things to do was to revise my saguaro crochet mitten pattern. So I'm working on that. And in the working of that, I am reworking the mittens and just making sure that the pattern is, for the most part, right. Tell me what's wrong with these. There are no thumbs. So when I made the pattern, I think I must have just thought that large thumbs were a cool thing. But when I made the pattern, again, this is using some of my hand spun yarn. This is called Demon Eyes. And it's a beautiful colorway, and I use a technique of spinning here that I'll probably share with Shacked. So it'll be a Shacked blog, not a Benjamin Krudwig blog. So I made the thumbs, and the problem was that they were just too long. So I'm going to revise that part of the pattern, and I'll be taking new photos. But the cool thing is I'm going to be using Anzula Oasis in this shamrock color. And I love Oasis. It's a camel fiber, so it's really, really soft, and it has a nice halo to it. It might pill a little as mittens, but that might just make it more soft. It'll just make it softer as you go on. And I have another color. It's called Lagoon, maybe. I don't know. So I'll probably do some fun dual color mittens. But look out for this pattern probably next week. I'll hope to have it done by next podcast. So keep an eye out in the Ravelry store and on Etsy for the patterns. So I'm really excited about those. Totally can't believe that I undid my only finished object for the last 2 weeks. So the next, oh, which bag do I have? Okay. So the thing that has been taking most of my time is a new pattern. So I have it in this bag. This is a prototype bag for some project bags that my wife and I will be sewing. Ariana is just picking up sewing like crazy. She is so good at it. So I'm working on a shawl pattern. I will show you a small portion of it because, yeah. So I'm using hand spun again. This is also fiber that I hand dyed. And my other braid of it is out in the other room, actually. So I need to spin the final braid to finish up this shawl. I don't have much left. Let's see. I have this much left. So my guess is it's about an ounce left. Maybe an ounce and a half. So yeah, I am going to be doing a mystery knit along probably in April with this pattern. So I just need to make sure that I get it right before I release it. I don't want to have any mess ups on that one. It's going to be really beautiful. It should brighten up your winter into spring. March and April are like perfect spring weather here in Colorado. We do get some storms every now and again, but it's just like the flowers start blooming and it's just stunning. So hopefully this pattern will help keep that brightness going. It's been a really dreary winter in a lot of the country, especially the East Coast. I cannot imagine going through what they're going through right now. However, we're supposed to get a huge dumper of snow this weekend. Not terribly excited about that. So anyways, so this pattern should be live for Mystery Knit Along in April. So look out for that. And if you want to sign up, I'm gonna have cheap pricing like for about 3 weeks before, and then the week before it starts, it'll go up in price. So make sure that you check that out. There's a lot to coordinate with a mystery knit along. So please bear with me on that one. So the next thing I'm working on, a lot of people have been waiting for, Kathy Canuel. So if you watch the Come Knit With Us podcast with Sam and Kim, Kimmy Knits and Kermit Von Frog on most of the things. Sam is Kermit Von Frog 12 on Instagram and Ravelry or Twitter. I don't know. And then YouTube, she's Kermit Von Frog, and yeah. They talk about LCI, Local Crafting Icon, Kathy Canuel, on their podcast all the time. So they're down in Tempe, Arizona, or they go to Tempe Yarn and Fiber. So I don't know if they live in Tempe, but I know Tempe Yarn and Fiber well. Hi, Candy. I've probably spoken to you many times on the phone. So in this project bag, I love this fabric. Oh my gosh. This one's one of my favorites. They're all my favorites. What am I saying? So Kathy Canuel has been making my tectonic cowl, the knit version, or the crochet version. And I'm not going to show you the actual knit version yet, but I'm working on the pattern. So it is, I'm so excited. I have been waiting to get yarn from Anzula. So this is like the beginning of my stash enhancement. But I've been waiting for yarn from Anzula to start this pattern because I only want to use Anzula for this pattern, especially for this series. I don't want to use anything else. So I'm using Haiku. It's their superwash merino bamboo nylon blend. So it's 70% superwash, 20% bamboo, and 10% nylon. And my guess is that it's meant to be sock yarn. It's about a sock yarn weight. It's very light sock yarn if it is. And I am knitting the pattern. So this will actually probably go out to Anzula. They're in Fresno, California. I am using these two colors in garnet and slate. I love the subtle shine that this yarn has. It's beautiful. The bamboo and the nylon just really give it that sheen. And the superwash will make it really, really warm. So, oh, Ariana just said that the yarn is taking over our apartment. And it's not taking over the apartment. I've cleaned it up for the most part. I'm putting it away in our little cubbies. So, yay, cleaning. And then the last work in progress that I have going on, I can actually announce now. So I was contacted by the Yarn Over truck, who is also located out in California. And Meredy Nelson, and oh, I don't know her partner's name, but they heard of me through Anzula. I believe it was at TNNA, the winter TNNA. And they sent me their exclusive colorway, which they finally announced, so I can tell you about it. I can't show you the pattern that I'm working on for them, but it's going to be a somewhat exclusive pattern to them. Yeah, it's so beautiful. So they just announced this at Stitches West, and on their Instagram, which is the Yarn Over truck. This is called "It's All Fun and Games Until Someone Sleeps with Someone Beneath Their Station." And if any of you watch Downton Abbey, which I have seen the first season and a half, maybe, it's a little homage to, God, what is her name? Lady Sybil. There we go. Yeah, Lady Sybil and Branson. So I am working on a crochet shawl pattern for them, and I'm hoping to get it out to them in the next couple of weeks. So we're gonna work on it. I started it once, ripped it out, started it again, which you all know, because it was one of my secret projects. And I ripped it out again today, and I started a new design that I think is just gonna be much better, much easier, and just more accessible. You know, people oftentimes, I think they see a crochet shawl or just any shawl that's lace, or big. You know, there's a lot of intimidation when it comes to shawls. So this one I think will be very easy. It'll be constructed a little bit differently than most shawls are, and I am super excited for it. Oh, I need to put those labels back with that project so I don't forget. So the yarn is from Indigo Dragonfly, and it's their Mergoat lace. So it's 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, and 10% nylon. And they call it heavy lace, light fingering weight. Heavy lace, light fingering. There we go. And it's 630 yards in a skein, 115 grams, and it uses 2 to 5 millimeter needles, so 0 to 8 needles are recommended. And that is in this bag, which I love. I don't know if you can tell, but I really love our bags. So, oh, I do have one more work in progress, but it's meh. So I was spinning about a week and a half ago. Can't really see this. It's dark blue and black and white. Let's see. So this is silk that I'm working on, and it's from Kamaj Fiber Arts. I haven't spun with straight silk before, so I don't want my opinions to be necessarily construed, in a poor light. This is not silk top, and these are not silk hankies. These are very short pieces of very neppy silk. So it's not bad. I really like the colors that are in the fiber itself. And I feel almost tempted to blend this with one of my other fibers to make it easier to spin. I am having one heck of a time spinning this. I'm spinning it on my Shacked Reeves, so I should be able to spin it pretty fine. But with the neps in it, it's just kind of coming out chunky. So I think I'm gonna keep what I've spun, obviously. I'm not gonna get rid of that and just throw it out. But I'll probably blend it with one of my other fibers. That just has a little bit more body. Yeah. I'm gonna move on to, okay, so it's 3:30 here. So I have about half an hour left, that's fine. I'm on time. Coffee break. So moving on to stash enhancement. It was a huge week this week for stash enhancement, and it's because my Anzula order arrived, and I won a prize on the Come Knit With Us podcast. I was watching it, I think, not last Sunday, but the Sunday before last. So 2 Sundays ago. I was watching the Come Knit With Us podcast, and they were doing their giveaway portion, and I was just like, oh, great, all these people are winning, and then my name came up. And I was like, what? I don't win things. So I was so excited. This is Regia, or Regia, as Molly from the Homespun House podcast calls it. It's a sock yarn. And I'm gonna take the ball band off. I can't help but take the ball bands off of things. It has like these greens and browns and blues and periwinkles and like a couple of stripes of like a plummy purple, which is fine. Like, I'm not afraid of purple, whatever. And that might be gray, it might be green, I don't know. I'll have to ask Ariana when she gets home what these colors are. It's 75% wool and 25% polyester. It's a 4-ply, let's see, 50-gram ball. And the color is aptly named 4251. Ooh. Regia or Regia, really, they know how to name yarn. I think it was Nick on the Nick's Knits podcast who was giving them a little bit of grief. Everyone does, because I don't know, what would you call this color? It's from the design line. This one is by Kafa Facet. I don't speak enough German, so I don't want to botch it at all. It's beautiful. I love the colors, and it's like you'd think they could name it something. Oh well. So I'm excited. I think I might actually knit a pair of socks. It'll be my first pair of socks I've ever knit. I don't know. It seems a little, what do you call that? Tedious. It seems a little tedious to knit socks, which is silly because I knit everything else and I want to knit a sweater, and that's just as tedious as socks. But the truth is I'm probably just a little intimidated by the size of the needle. Yeah. Oh well. So other things that came in the mail this week. I told you about 2 podcasts ago about the silent auction that I participated in at the National Western Stock Show. I won that also. I got a gray llama fleece. And so this is raw. I don't know if you know this, but I really like gray. So the locks on these are actually very long. It's about, I think, a 4 or 5 inch staple length. This is going to be so super soft and silky and shiny. And I don't have to do much washing because llamas, alpacas, Paco vicuña, most camelid fiber producing animals, they don't have lanolin in their wool. So you don't have to wash it, like you don't have to boil it to get off the lanolin. You don't have to use scour. You just basically have to run some water through it to get some of the dust out. But honestly, I bet you I could spin this as is and the dust would just fall out. It's just so fine. Super, super soft. It's from a 6-year-old llama. And the breeder is Patty Morgan from Rockin' Llamas and Alpacas. And if you'd like to go to their website, I'll post that in the show notes. But you can also kind of, let's see. You can go to rock-n- I believe that's M as in Mary, LLAMAS.com. So that's rock-n-m-llamas.com. I am so excited. It was 1.2 pounds of a fleece, and since there's not much dirt in this, I bet the yield will actually be about that much. So I'm just gonna card it a little bit to get out any of the debris and spin it straight from the bat. This is not going to need much preparation at all, and I'm so excited to get started on that. So that's my fleece of the week. Other spinning fiber I got. Now, Ariana's probably gonna just shake her head at all of this that I'm gonna show. She saw the box, so you know, and she doesn't care so much. So something I can tell you now, I am writing an article for Spin-Off Magazine. So you'll be able to see that this fall, and that'll be in an awesome issue that you should definitely pick up. If you don't subscribe to Spin-Off and you're a spinner, this is definitely going to be one of those issues that you're going to want to pick up at your local yarn store. Or subscribe to the magazine. They do have an e-magazine, but for Spin-Off, there's really nothing quite like, I don't know, the pages. I like seeing the stuff on a physical page. Anyways, so again, from Anzula Luxury Fibers, this is their 50% merino, 50% tencel blend. It's a superwash merino. This tencel, so tencel is a wood pulp blend or fiber that's extruded. And I got 2 colors. I got Nimbus, which is this lovely grayish, greenish, bluish color. You know, it looks like a nimbus cloud. You know, that kind of a storm is coming sort of thing. So I got that color. And I got cornflower in the same blend. And this looks like a cornflower. I don't know, when I was younger, my parents had a garden, and I was adamant about also gardening with them. And I planted a bunch of wildflowers one year. You know, it was just a wildflower mix, and cornflowers were in there. And this is cornflower blue. You know, there's this kind of depth of gray in there and kind of a tealish green, I think. And then that bright powdery blue is exactly what a cornflower looks like. So I am so excited about that. Next thing I got from Anzula is yarn. So I got their Meridian yarn. It's a lace weight. And I got 3 colorways of this. I got mulberry, and you can totally ask anybody that knows me. I don't like pink. I pretty much hate pink, but I was very drawn to these more natural tones of pinks. I was hoping they'd be a little bit more dusty colored because the color of the year is Merlot, not Merlot, gosh, Marsala, a different wine. So I really want to do a pattern using those colors. So got mulberry, maiden, a little bit lighter, and black cherry, which is so rich. So here they are together. I think these will look really nice in a project. So it's a lace weight, I already said that, and it comes in 812 yards, and it's 55% tencel, 35% alpaca, and 10% nylon. So this will be a very lightweight but very warm project, no matter what I choose. I'm very, very excited about using these. So the next fiber I got, or I guess yarn, was haiku. So you've already seen 2 colors, the garnet and the slate, in the tectonic knit version, tectonic cowl, there we go. And this one is black, which is really more of a dark gray, but black. This one is called charcoal. And this one is called gravity. And I love this because it's almost undyed, but it's just the palest of grays. So these 3 will probably make it into another cowl, tectonic cowl, and other things. You know, I mean, I'm gonna have a ton of yardage out of these. In the same base, I picked up kale, and I picked up Olivia, and I got 2 skeins of each. So this should make a really nice big project. I'm not entirely sold on what I'm going to do with these, but sweater is kind of what comes to mind. So yeah, that's my stash enhancement this week. I don't frequently do stash enhancement, so I just kind of use what I have, and then if I need to buy more for a project, I'll buy more. There will be more purchasing of yarn as I use more of it while I pattern design. And as I continue working on my book, I'm going to be using a lot more yarn and needing different colors. So it looks like Mohammed showed up. So hello. I see Ariana got you first. So welcome to the podcast. I have about 15 minutes left before I gotta hightail it out of here. So there's a giveaway happening. And I'm not sure how much people are following me on the Ravelry group. Oh my gosh. So it's Benjamin Krudwig Fiber Arts and Design. There's a Ravelry group over there. You can find the information in the doobly-doo down below, the description box and the comment notes or whatever. The group link is down there, so please go over and join. And when you join, go over to the Finished Object February thread, or the FO February, because there's a giveaway happening. So that giveaway, any project that you finish in the month of February, you can post there, no chatter, so just just the post of the project. Oh my gosh. And you can put a description in there. But if you're gonna mention like other people, like, oh, your project is so great, go ahead and go over to the other finished object thread in the group and mention each other. Go ahead and cross-post them, I don't mind. Just don't do the chatter in the giveaway thread so I can do a proper random number generator. You can post as many projects as you have finished, but just make a new post for each project. I want to see what you finish in February. So I'm going to close that in March. Probably in the first week of March, I'll close the thread because I know some people will finish something February 28th. I'm not going to make you like make a project page and post it before midnight of February 28th. So anything that you finished in February can go in that thread. The prize for that is this lovely 4-ounce bump of hand-dyed fiber. This is merino wool. It's a fine merino wool. It's not superwash, so it will felt if you throw it in the wash. That was dyed by me, and it's called New England Tide. And if you want to see, this is what a 2-ply looks like out of that yarn, or out of that fiber. The colors really mute and become this beautiful blue-gray-green that reminds me of the Atlantic Ocean. So yeah, go over to that thread and participate. And if you don't finish a project in February, that's okay. I'm gonna have future giveaways, so don't worry about getting it done. But do come over to the group and hang out and chat a bit. I'm trying to get a lot more active on Ravelry, so please come on over. I love talking to people. All right, so before I get to questions, I just want to mention some podcasts that I've been watching. And you can check all these out on YouTube, and I'll also put in links for all of them in the show notes, which you can find on my blog at benjaminkrudwig.com. So I've been watching the Bakery Bears with Dan and Kay. You can find them on Instagram as Obi-Wan Knitter or Obi-Wan Knitter. And you can also find her as, I think it's just Bakery Bear. No, Bryony Bear. Gotcha. Your last podcast was fantastic. And I loved your trip to those ruins. And I'm excited to see this Coming Up podcast because it's the second part, basically, of this huge travel thing of these Roman ruins. I'm so excited to see them. And Bryony is adorable, by the way, in that helmet. It was so silly. And I had to take that Instagram photo for you guys because it's just made me so happy. I love the family feel. Every episode that I get is just makes me so happy. A new podcast, and by new, I mean he only has like 2 fewer podcasts than I do, so we're both new. Nick from Knick Knits, or Nick Knits, if you want to do the silent Ks. He's a 14-year-old kid, teenager. I don't know what you call 14-year-olds. And he is a smart kid. He's starting a knitting group at his school. He's going to teach his fellow students how to knit and do other crafts in the fiber arts. So I think, way to go, Nick. If I ever have a chance to send you something for that group, I will definitely try. So I think the things that I tend to buy are not suitable for learning. So yeah, good luck with that. And I've been loving your podcast. And then there's the Yarngasm podcast. I cannot remember for the life of me who she is. Oh my gosh. Why can't I remember her name? Kristen. Okay, so Kristen from the Yarngasm podcast, I've been watching her podcast quite a bit, and I love her podcast. She has a very refined aesthetic, so I really appreciate that. Molly from the Homespun House. So I actually found Yarngasm through Molly at the Homespun House. She's just, there's something, I feel like I could just relax on the, gosh, what can I say? I feel like I can totally relax watching your podcast because you're just so peaceful and you have your candle going and you're talking about this wonderful weather in Germany. It's just wonderful. Oh, and hi, Safe Pet Haven. Welcome to the podcast. I'm sorry it is towards the end again. I might start doing these later, like more towards 3:30. I don't know. But is that a better time for you all? 3:30? That way people can kind of come in. I know it's like during the work day for most people, but I get off at 2 on Friday, so it's like a great time for me, and I have great natural light right now. Sorry, anyway, so Homespun House. Molly, keep doing what you're doing. Good luck with your pregnancy. You should be due pretty soon, I think. Internet time is very different than real time. So I've been watching Come Knit With Us, obviously. I love watching Sam and Kim. Oh my gosh. And they're Kermit Von Frog, again, Kermit Von Frog 12 on Instagram. And Kimmy Knits, KIMIKNITS on Instagram. And they're hilarious. They're so fun. Sort of a Knitter podcast. I've been watching Josh. I have missed both of your virtual knit nights, like twice in a row. I feel like I see it just right at the end of when it's about to happen or already has happened. I don't know. I'm really bad at it. So I'm going to try to make the next one or watch the next one. I don't know what it is. So let's see. And then, so this podcast is from Knitting Julian on Instagram. And he's KNTTNG. And that's the knitting podcast that he's doing. He's from Germany. He has very short podcasts, but they're fun. He plays the ukulele and the guitar and does music. And he's just, he likes rock and roll. And his tagline, I guess you could call it, is there is no I in knitting, hence the KNTTNG. So I thought that was fantastic. And let's see. Last one that I've been watching was Eat, Sleep, Stitch. So yeah, I love watching podcasts while I'm working on projects, or if I just feel like I tend to wake up early and need some time with my coffee. So I'll watch about 10 minutes, 20 minutes of a podcast in the morning and go on. So with the last few minutes, I'm going to answer some questions that came up. And yes, the cat did show up at the beginning of the podcast / middle. Let's see. And thank you, Ariana, for totally keeping, you're totally the moderator of our chat going on over here. So it's great. I am going to open up my Instagram real quick. So I have a few comments on here, or questions. Runs with Scissors said the best beginner knitting pattern. That's not scarf or hat related. What I would recommend is either a simple triangle shawl, and either knitting or crochet. A triangle shawl is a really great idea. They're simple increases. And you can do it in garter stitch, so just knit every row or whatever. And you can do stockinette stitch. You can do reverse stockinette stitch if you so choose. One of those patterns that I haven't yet tried, but of everybody who has ever knit one around me, the Age of Brass and Steam shawl total beginner project. I think, though it is very beautiful and it is very elegant, it is very simple. So I think, oh, bye, Tabitha. It was good to see you. Thank you. Thank you for giving us luck on the house hunting. Super excited. So yeah, The Age of Brass and Steam is a great beginning project. Okay. And then she also asked, runs with scissors, what's your favorite sci-fi TV show or movie? And this is totally unfair. This is the most unfair question. I grew up with Star Trek. So I think just for nostalgia, any of the Star Trek series besides Enterprise, because that was a terrible, terrible, it was awful. And Scott Bakula should be ashamed of himself for his performance on that show. And I am a little bit passionate about this subject, apparently. So I don't do Enterprise, but the original series with Spock and Kirk, and I love Next Gen and Deep Space Nine. Deep Space Nine, I like less than Next Gen. Next Generation, for those who don't know that. And Voyager. Oh my gosh, Captain Janeway. I had a mad crush on her when I was younger. So, anyways, so as far as TV show goes, I think that might have to be. Movies are Star Wars, also for the nostalgia base. Like, it's strange because I'm not sure if there's been a lot of great new sci-fi. I mean, Star Wars, I can't say is like great for the reimagination of anything, where a lot of sci-fi shines, but it's also like, it's just nostalgia, and it's the first like great sci-fi movie after the 50s. Gosh, I might say that recently Interstellar, the one that was Matthew McConaughey, that was a fantastic movie, and I know a lot of people were really grumpy about it because of the soundtrack was too loud with the movie, and I think that might have only been in the IMAX shows, but oh well, I really loved that movie. The other, let's see, Battlestar Galactica is probably another more modern one that I love. Okay, Kermit Von Frog asks, what is your earliest fiber memory? So when I was younger, I was pretty obsessed with the stock show, and I would go, I think once every year when I was in elementary school, and I just remember seeing all of the sheep and seeing all of the livestock. I also remember at one of my Bible camps that I went to when I was younger, you know, Jesus was a shepherd, and I don't know, I love the idea of him. And there were sheep at this Bible camp, and I have pictures of me with that sheep, and it's like, even though it wasn't tied with fiber arts, I've always loved sheep and I've loved animals. So I don't know, I think it's kind of great. Like, those are my earliest fiber memories that I have. And then I see a question from Safe Pet Haven. So other than keeping projects smaller and simpler, and this will be the last question because I need to go very soon, are there any ideas for a newbie with low vision? So I would say you don't necessarily have to keep projects smaller and simpler. Well, maybe simpler. Like, you can just use a similar stitch over and over and over again, just because then your body gets into a rhythm. But if you want, there are some great patterns using bulky yarns and larger needles and larger hooks. And I think that's a great way, if you have low vision, to modify the project and that, as opposed to modifying your surroundings. However, I do also recommend maybe getting better lighting, because that helps your vision if you can bump up the contrast with whatever you're working on. Use yarns that are maybe medium tone colors as opposed to really dark or really light colors, because the contrast of the stitch definition will be more apparent in those medium tones. For those who are chemically sensitive to chemicals, so synthetic yarns or even natural dyes, fiber with dyes are no-nos. Hopefully, most dye processes, you shouldn't have any active dyes anymore. So hopefully you aren't like too sensitive to that, because that could be a real bummer. Natural fibers that are generally pretty hypoallergenic or are very, very soft to the touch and feels are going to be like alpaca. So that's an animal fiber. Those come in so many colors. So you can get those really tan colors. You can get, brown. And there's like a champagne color where it's a little bit of a light brown, and a caramel color. So it's like a caramel brown. Geez, real descriptive. You can get a caramel color, which is like a caramel brown. So I think there's a lot of naturally, it's not naturally dyed, it's just naturally colored fiber. So most sheep, you can get a whole range of colors. You're not going to get blues, you're not going to get greens. You know, if you do chemical dyes, there are a lot of natural dyes, but you do need to be careful as well there, because the properties of those plants, those chemicals are what's dyeing the plant or dyeing the fiber. So you might want to just test it on your fiber, and then maybe make a small swatch and use it against your hands and see if you are sensitive to it or not. Bamboo is pretty hypoallergenic, and it should be non-reactive. So that shouldn't be a problem as far as sensitivity goes. But just look for some natural fibers that are not dyed, and you can find many of those at companies that, natural fiber producers. Oh my gosh, they're a great resource for that sort of thing. So you can do organic cotton, but it has not much body, and you can do soft merino wool, but it's too pricey for multiple. That is true. You can always do a blend of cotton and wool. There's, who does that? Brown Sheep has a cotton wool blend, which might be really soft. But yeah, natural fiber producers, it might be .org. They are a great resource for natural fibers that are not necessarily dyed. So you can get some yarns and fibers that are pretty inert. You know, you're not going to get very scratchy. Other wools that are soft, like CVM, Jacob is pretty soft. You know, so just finding those finer micron wools will also help keep the scratch down. I wouldn't try to buy soft merino wool at like Joann's or something, because it is going to be pricier. I don't think they understand the benefits of those kinds of yarns, and so they're not going to buy it in bulk, and they're going to have to mark it up. And oftentimes you can find some relatively cheap yarn, hand spun yarn, and it's worth it on some projects. You know, if you really want something that's going to last a long time, sometimes, you know, buying a little bit extra price-wise is going to be better. But anyways, there's lots of resources out there, and maybe I'll do a whole blog post on that sort of thing. So I've got to get going. I'm going to go look at houses. So I'm really, really excited. You all have a great rest of your weekend. Please follow me everywhere. I would love to see you on Facebook. I'd love to go see you over on Instagram. Please subscribe to this channel. If you liked this podcast, give it a thumbs up. It seems like lots of people are watching, so I'm super excited that people are finding this fun or finding this great. future podcasts are going to be even more fun. So you just wait. There's lots of exciting things happening soon. And there will be more to show next week because I'm going to be more productive this weekend than I have in the last 2 weeks. So yeah, please find me on the social networks and subscribe. Benjamin Krudwig everywhere. Facebook.com/Benjamin Krudwig, Google+, Benjamin Krudwig, Instagram, Benjamin Krudwig, Etsy, Benjamin Krudwig. So take a look, and I will see you all next Friday. Bye.